You guys probably heard some phone calls and seen some emails from me. My name's Eric Peacock, personal trainer here in Lakeville. This gain in 10 is the goal here is to gain at least 10 pounds of muscle in 8 weeks. And I'm hoping to have a couple of my buddies that I guinea pigged on this to jump on at the end of the night and end of this webinar just to tell you about their experience working with me. They're my guinea pigs, and they're doing some stuff with their church tonight. So they're hopefully going to get on here later. But I'm going to go ahead and move forward with this Gain 10 in 8 program. And first off is, who the heck am I and why should you listen to me? I've been a personal trainer for over 20 years. I've been doing the fitness field. It's changed dramatically. Got my bachelor's from Mankato State, now called Minnesota State. I still call it Mankato State because I'm still old school in that direction. But played football down there, and I really got my start in fitness as a skinny high school kid. Wanted to be better at football. Bulked myself up from 150 up to about 270 when I was playing. You can see me in my football uniform on the left there. Got done with football and decided that I didn't need all that weight anymore, and I wanted to look a little better. I'm just going to be honest, I want to look better for the ladies. A big, scary football player doesn't get many dates, and was able to cut myself down. I've done 2 bodybuilding shows and 2 physique shows. That was my physique show last year, the picture on the right, which is a little more sane. It's not as crazy as bodybuilding, but, I think having all the, I have 3 accredited certifications. You can read the PowerPoint, but I've done the bulk up thing, I've done the lean down thing, and, I get how to do both of those things because I've done them. A lot of guys can read a book or they can read articles and be book smart, but I've done it both ways. I've, learned what works and doesn't work. And most of all, most of us are busy guys, and we want to make the most of our time in the gym. We want to get results, but we don't want to, live in the gym and be a gym rat. I don't know where you guys are at. I have a family. I got kids and their activities. Even though I run a fitness business, it's still a challenge for me to get my workouts in. I don't have a lot of extra time because I still got to run the business. I got payroll. I got employees. We got marketing, accounting, all those things I got to do. Everybody has those challenges. So, my hope with this program is about training smarter, not kicking your butt in the gym and overtraining and spending hours and hours in the gym and getting less results. So, I've done that. I'm not I'm not anything special, but I do love fitness and I do love helping guys like myself. I've noticed a big influx of guys, especially with this thing. I had almost 30 guys showed interest in this that hit the Facebook ad, and so I seem to have touched the button, and I've seen more guys my age. I'm 43 right now, coming in and trying to figure out what they need to do to get back in shape. They were once jocks. They were once, guys that went to the gym. So I kind of stole something from the. There's a program I did, and it's for washed up meatheads. That would be me. I used to be bodybuilder, meathead, Zubas and all. Former jock, that would be me too. Young guys too. I talked to a young guy today who's not going to be on here tonight, but young guys that get that, they see how I had this young guy who's in his 20s. He just had his first kid. And he's already realizing it's going to be a challenge to be a dad and get his workouts in. And then just like I said, busy guys. And I'm, I don't know how old you guys are, but got to maximize the time in the gym and make it count. And more is not always better. And so I wanted to share some of the things that I've learned and give you some details about this program, just so you can make a good decision to see if you feel like my personality, somebody you'd want to work with. And this program looks like it's a good fit for what you're looking for. So going forward, I want to talk about some of the mistakes that see guys make in the gym. I've been a member of a lot of gyms. I worked in a big box health club for many, many years, and I see guys that put a lot of time in, but what they're doing doesn't really match what their goals are. And I call number one is the weenie workouts. And guys, I'm just going to throw us under the bus on this one. We are guilty of this. Number one, skipping legs. You all know that guy in the gym. He's got the big upper body and the 2 thick legs, and tries to cover them up. And he's buff up top, but he's weak below. What you don't know is when you train legs, it actually helps you develop your upper body. It helps send off those anabolic hormones in your body when you do the big movements, deadlifts, squats, those type of movements. A lot of guys try to go around those and do the leg press, leg extension, the machine. It's just not going to get it done. Even if you have a bad back, there's alternatives you can do. Squats and deadlifts are also functional movements that you need to do in everyday life, so they're very important to do. And so a lot of guys kind of weenie out on the legs. That's probably one of the most premium things. I used to be a member at Lifetime, and I swear the squat rack got used more for curls and power shrugs than it did for squats. It's called the squat rack. And so, skipping legs is one way to kind of really sabotage your results. I had a friend of mine from college who told me he was going to go on steroids because he couldn't gain muscle, and he said he did his legs, he ran 5 miles a day. That's not doing legs. Legs is you got to get under the bar, you got to pull the bar, you got to be willing to do those hard exercises, because there's a relationship there. The harder the exercise, the bigger the results. And that kind of goes into number 2, not pushing yourself hard enough. We all need somebody to push us, including myself. I know when I did my first bodybuilding show, I had no idea what I was in for. Not that I'm telling you guys to do a bodybuilding show, but you got to train at a different level, and it was so helpful to have my boss who had done the bodybuilding shows, and he pushed me through the workouts, and then he went and did another one, and I pushed him. Sometimes you need somebody to challenge and push you hard. I know a lot of times I'll get programs from other trainers I respect, and I'll do it to the T, and there'll be things on there I don't like when I look at it, but you got to do it, and that helps me to push myself hard. And avoiding tough exercises, going back to not just the legs, but, things that are challenging and sticking with the easy exercise, the ones you're good at. You got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's like one of my trainers put that as our quote of the week, and that is true. Every time you do something new, it's not only, a new pattern that goes in your body, it makes your body inefficient, which helps you burn more fat calories. And, doing those tough exercises, it creates a better, more efficient nervous system, which is going to help you lift more weights in the long run. And then the beach muscles only workout. I see too many guys do this, and this is where you get shoulder problems. Curls and chest, pec deck, bench, bicep curls, hardly any lower upper back work or rear shoulder work, and you get out of balance, you get that kind of rounded, gorilla-looking posture. It's not a good posture to have. So you got to make sure that you're doing the hard exercises and you're balancing your workouts off, and you're pushing yourself. Nobody wants to be the guy who's screaming on the leg extension. Get yourself in the mindset that you're going to have to work hard to get the results. Putting on 10 pounds of muscle in 8 weeks is not going to happen with a magic supplement or just showing up. You have to push yourself. And we're going to talk a little bit more what that looks like. The other thing is lack of focus. This never was around, but I don't even know if this is a verb, dicking around with the phone. I see guys at the gym I work out at sitting there doing a set and then playing Minecraft between sets or texting people. You need to focus. It's okay to use your phone if you got your tunes on there, but put away the phone for 1 hour to focus on what you need to get done. That's going to affect your rest periods. You want to be paying attention to your rest periods, and in this program we're going to have you pay attention to your rest periods, because your rest periods are going to have a lot to do with how you're going to get results. And a lot of guys don't pay attention. They might do a set, get on their phone, and then do another set. One rest period might be 5 minutes, the other might be 2 minutes. You got to have some consistency across the board. And certain exercises call for different rest periods. Social time. The gym is to work out. It's not to talk and socialize. When people tell me they're at the gym for 2 to 3 hours, I know that social time is probably a big part of that. It's okay. I've got buddies at the gym. They spot me. We talk, but make sure you're consistent. If you go to a gym where people always talk to you, the easy way to solve that is to get an iPod, something. Put your headphones on. Most people are going to get the hint that, hey, that person's really focused on what they're doing. But if you want to make results, you got to focus and just kind of no plan, wander down aimlessly. A lot of guys will, when they come in and I talk to them about the program, there's no consistency. There's no progression. It's just doing what feels good at the gym, and not really paying attention to what I did last time, or did I improve every workout. And the marathon workouts is another thing too. Is you'll get people that just overdo it. Kind of on the flip side, 20 or 30 sets of bicep curls. They're in the gym for 2 hours. And I'm just here to tell you, studies have shown, after about an hour or so, after really like 50 minutes, your testosterone levels start to drop and your cortisol levels start to go up. Now, your cortisol is not a good hormone one for about building muscle. If you have high levels of cortisol in your body, guess what? It's gonna break muscle down. It's gonna make you hungry. It's gonna make you want to eat the crap food. You want your testosterone levels protected. So after about 50 minutes to an hour, an hour's tops, you should be done with your workout. You should be out of there. If you're going 2 hours straight through, you're doing damage to your endocrine system. It's like you're trying to dig a hole and somebody else is filling it up behind you. And no tracking your journal. If you're really going to make progress, you got to have a journal. It could be something as rudimentary as an old notebook, and that's cool. I use an old notebook, and sometimes I'll have a program that has some really sweet spreadsheets. Whatever you like to use, make sure you're tracking it, because your goal for every workout is to be better than the last workout. Whether that means you added 2 reps to something, whether it means you added weight, you'll never know that unless you have to track it. You can even use your phone for that. There's actually some good apps on there to do that as well. But I'm old school. I like to write things down. It doesn't take as much time as trying to type things on the phone that I'm ready to go. So make sure you're tracking what you want to improve. And, you know, I own a business, and if I never track my profit and loss or, you know, my sales or anything like that, I'd never know how I'm doing. And anything that you want to improve, you need to be tracked. That's what they tell us as business owners, and it's the same thing. The same thing applies to being at the gym. It's the same process, different goal. The next thing we're going to talk about is crappy nutrition. This is a picture from Planet Fitness. Hopefully I'm not offending any Planet Fitness members here, but there's a guy eating a pizza on a machine at Planet Fitness. And there's a lot of people that go to the gym, and you know, this is the part that kind of drives me nuts, is they go to the gym and they put the time and they work their butts off, and then they go totally undo it by eating a bunch of crap, and they never look any different. You've probably seen these people at the gym, these people that come to the gym, and they work their butts off, they sweat, they even do the right exercises, but then they never look any different. As hard as they work, you think they look different. This is the main thing. This is the main area where they drop the ball. And I'll tell you what, getting up on stage, looking lean, looking ripped, having the muscle definition there, getting bigger, 70-80% of it's going to be your nutrition. And I'll tell you that right now from having done shows, having gotten people ready for shows, from having worked with athletes. I worked with a kid, Apple Valley football player. He's the captain of the Apple Valley football team. He put on 20 pounds of muscle, and the only thing he changed, he always worked hard in the weight room. The only thing he changed was how he did his nutrition, how he timed his nutrients when he took his nutritional products, and how he timed his food, and how he structured his carbs and his proteins and his fats. And he put on 20 pounds of solid muscle, didn't gain any body fat. And his senior year, he's coming in, he's at 231. He was 210 when I started with him. So, you know, that was the big game changer. The guy worked hard in the weight room. He could put up some serious weight, but he hadn't put on a lot of muscle size. So you really have to put some time and effort into that. And a lot of people, I'll tell you what, I look at food journals every week, just do not eat enough quality and quantity of food necessary to gain muscle. And it becomes this kind of semi-starvation mode to this binge mode. It's kind of an all or nothing, almost like a camel. For a lot of people, they tend to skip meals, and then when they do eat, they binge eat and they overload their body. They never get their body into a rhythm. One of the things you want to do is get your body into a rhythm, meaning that you're eating similar things at similar times of the day. Get your body into a rhythm, much like, you know, maybe you get up early like I do, and you don't even need an alarm clock because your body's in a rhythm. You wake up automatically, right? So it's the same thing with your nutrition. If your nutrition's always haphazard, you're never going to get any traction. So you need to be eating, you know, frequently throughout the day, eating the same things around the same times of day. People like to hear that. People tell me, well, I want to cook all these elaborate meals and everything. It's not going to work. You're going to have to look at food as fuel, not for pleasure. It's okay to have some cheat meals and things like that, but you know, the majority of it's about 80 to 90% of that food should be quality food, quality protein, quality carbohydrates, and spaced out throughout the day. And we go more into the program like how to time the carbohydrates and what to take and when. No plan, reactive versus proactive. That's a big thing with nutrition. You're going to have to get the discipline, and I'm just being straight honest with you guys here. You're going to have to get the discipline of shopping on the weekends, you know, and if you work on during the week like most people, you want to get your shopping done on the weekends, prepare your food, and get it ready to go for the week, you know, and you're going to have to designate some time to cook and prep and shop, and you got to, like I said, nutrition's about 70-80% of it, so you have to put some time into it if you want to see the results you want to see. If you get into reactive mode where you don't bring a lunch to work, and then it's Subway or it's McDonald's or whatever it is, or it's the cafeteria, not the best choice. So you got to look at yourself as a race car. You want to be putting top-grade fuel into it. It's not like a race car driver's going to pull up, you know, a NASCAR driver's not going to pull up the quick strip and put 87 fuel in it. So look at your body like that. If you want to perform like a race car, you got to put that quality fuel in. That means you got to do some prep, and that might mean you need to budget a little more for your groceries too, and get some higher quality foods if you're eating a lot of stuff from packages and boxes and things like that. So if you want to see the changes, I'll tell you what, 70-80%, I'm not going to say it one more time and that's it, but you got to really have the mindset of I really need to change my nutrition. Another thing, no warm-up or cool-down. I've seen people get in the club, and what they do is they actually use the sauna for their warm-up and read the paper. Now, warm-up isn't sitting around. I remember back in high school, old school, back in the 80s, we used to sit around and do static stretching, like kind of stretch and hold on the grass, and we end up throwing the grass at each other during football practice. Not a great way to stretch. The best way to do it is dynamic stretching, you know, doing some movement to warm up the tissues and get your body ready to move and mobilize your joints. I can tell you a lot of injuries are probably the number one thing that kills motivation. Once you're injured, you're done. And I see a lot of guys, most of us sit at desks during the day. I'm lucky I have a job that I have to sit at desk sometimes, but I can get up and move around. But that creates a lot of imbalances in your body, and what you need to do is you need to, in a sense, balance your body up with a good dynamic warm-up. We have some cool stuff that we give you during this program, just a real basic dynamic warm-up. It's not really hard, but it helps you get loose. It helps stretch every muscle in your body and mobilize all your joints so you're ready to move, and you got to prepare for movement. Those of us that played sports, we didn't jump right on the field and start, doing sprints right away and going full speed. We had a warm-up in place, usually with some running, some jogging. We have some good movements that we give you to help you get ready and move well, so that when you're going to lift some heavy loads, you're going to train hard, your body's ready for it. And we're turning on, not only warming up the muscles and joints, we're getting the nervous system ready, and we're telling the brain we'll get ready to work. Things that you'll see if you don't do this, you'll have, for example, if you've got really tight calves, which a lot of people do, tight calves and really locked up ankles, you won't be able to squat very deep. You're not going to get the best benefit from squats. If you've got really tight pecs and front shoulders, you'll shut down your rotator cuff, and then when you put a load on, you have a better chance of tearing that rotator cuff. So you need to, make sure that you're not compensating, overusing certain muscles and underusing other ones, because that's where you end up straining a muscle. And then you get the injury, and then it's a downhill slide from there. Even as good as you are, you're not even bulletproof. I know this summer I was doing some heavy squat program, and I'd warmed up really well, and I still tweaked something in my knee, and it kind of threw my training off for almost a month. And it's not very motivating to go in work when you know you can't push it 100%. That's just the way it is. So just make sure you're doing that. And then the cool down part, I just want to mention that real quick, is staying after and doing some. That's where you want to put in your static stretching. We're not trying to really increase flexibility in a sense there. We're trying to use static stretching, which shuts the nervous system down and kind of deactivates the muscles and helps them relax and returns them to resting length, and that helps your body recover. If you think of the muscles, as you loosen them up, it helps blood get in, lymph move through there, and that helps get the metabolic waste out and get the nutrients in, and definitely will decrease the soreness and help the recovery. The name of the game with gaining muscle is recovery. So, taking 10 minutes to stretch your muscles out at the end is huge for recovery. I know my last physique show, I was getting kind of lazy with the cool down. My shoulder was starting to hurt. I was getting kinesio tape on it with my chiropractor, all this stuff, and I finally just said, what are you doing? You got to do your cool down. As soon as I started doing my cool down, all my shoulder pain, all that stuff went away. My joints felt great. I recovered from the workouts, and I was working out 6-7 days a week, sometimes twice a day. And so that made a game changer. And I know I'm training a girl right now for a bikini show. Same thing. She was starting to get beat up, and I made her start to do the static stretching, and it was like night and day for her now. She said she feels 100% better. So this is discipline too, is the discipline of warming up and cool down, as well as the nutrition. So this can't just be about lifting weights. It has to be about doing all the things necessary to maximize your success. Number 5, biggest mistake, creatures of habit, doing the same program over and over and over and over and over again. We are creatures of habit. We want to do what we're good at. And, I can think of certain exercises I do not like so much, but I know I need to get better at. I can name one that's called front squats. It requires a lot of shoulder mobility. I'm not the tightest guy, but I'm not the loosest guy either, and they're not the most comfortable things, but they have gotten better through determination. I really don't like doing them, but I know they're a really valuable exercise, so I do them. Changing that up, going from front squats to back squats is not my favorite thing to do because I'm better at back squats, but I know I need to do that. I know I need to work on my weak links. I know I need to change those things up. And your body is very, very smart. God made your body very, very well. It's a well-oiled machine. And guess what? It actually, your body will actually adapt very, very quickly. That's why you got to keep changing things up. You should be changing your program every 4 to 6 weeks. And it amazes me how, even at my old job, I see guys doing the same program year after year after year. Even at the gym I go to now, there's one guy in there, he does the same weight, same reps over and over again. And I don't know how you wouldn't get bored. And sticking to those exercises that you're good at. And, change your exercises, change your rep scheme, change your tempos. You can do all kinds of things. You can change your volume. Your volume is basically sets times reps times weight. So making sure you're tweaking you're tweaking different things so your body doesn't get too plateaued out or too adapted. It's basically keeping your body inefficient. The whole thing about gaining muscle is it's your body adapting to a stimulus, and you got to keep that stimulus different. Otherwise, once it adapts, you're all done. And so doing things to keep your body moving, raising the bar every week is going to be really important every month. And that goes back to progression. Are you increasing reps, weight? Are you increasing the challenges within the program? Or are you going from one phase to a more challenging phase? A lot of people don't understand what progression is or how to progress. And, you know, sometimes they put too much weight on and their spotter ends up doing a bunch of shrugs on a bench press. And necessarily doesn't mean necessarily pushing to failure all the time, but there's ways to progress and there's ways to not progress. And so you want to make sure that you're doing something, you know, like I said, that's the value of having a tracking journal, is that you have something to track and make sure you are making progress and that you are changing things up frequently. And I've been just, you know, I'm not speaking from the past there, I've been as guilty as that. You know, sometimes it's hard to change gears. You're just busy, and it's easier just to do what you know. But I'll tell you what, there's nothing as cool as doing a new program, and it just kicks your butt. It feels like it's a whole new universe of training. It's just, if you like working out like I do, I love a new challenging workout. One that just kind of is like, wow, I'm not as good a shape as I'm not. It gives me something to shoot for. When I kind of go through the motions and go through a workout and I can kind of just sleepwalk through it, it's not very invigorating. But when I get through a tough workout, it sets my day up. All right, bonus mistake, cardio. Let's talk. We got to talk cardio here. So this is my mentor, Richard Simmons. Just kidding, but I still see guys that do way too much cardio to gain muscle. Too much cardio will inhibit muscle gain. The right kind of cardio will get you lean, but it'll help you gain muscle at the same time. And I want to just talk about the bulking cutting thing. A lot of guys will try to do bulking and cutting cycles, and they'll bulk for months and months and months. And here's the problem: when you bulk too much and you're eating a lot of calories and a lot of carbs, when you're in bulking mode, you're going to put on a lot of fat along with the muscle. And you become something called insulin resistant. Basically, your body stops using the hormone insulin very efficiently. So what happens is your body starts to throw down body fat along with that muscle. And it's really hard to get that body fat off. And you know what? It's great if you're putting on muscle and you're bulking up, but you know, part of this, I would assume you guys want to look lean and have some definition along with the size. And so doing that, you want to make sure you have the right kind of cardio. And we use a little short, high-intensity cardio finishers during this program, which don't take very long, but what they do is they jack the metabolism up, and they jack up the growth hormone, which is a fat-burning hormone, and they set your hormone system for fat burning. And, you know, not doing any cardio and just eating like a pig and trying to put on weight that way is not very efficient. But doing too much cardio, once again, like I said, you know, if you want to look like a runner, train like a runner. If you want to look like a physique or more of a bodybuilder or a muscular athlete, you got to train like one. But you got to do some cardio, but it just has to be in the right amount, and not spending a lot of time there, but enough to create the hormonal environment that you're looking for. And that's what a lot of this is stimulating growth hormone, testosterone, minimizing cortisol and insulin, which insulin can be used to put on muscle, but too much insulin will put on fat. So here's how we got to get it done. Enough about the mistakes. I want to talk about how do we get it done. So first off, this is the foundational thing you really want to be dealing with here. Is you want to be defining a clear goal and purpose. What do you want to accomplish? When do you want to accomplish it? And why is it important to you? Give yourself a deadline. That's why I like this program. Is it's an 8-week program, and you can give yourself a deadline. You know, do you want to put on, you know, gain 10 and 8? It is possible if you dial everything in. And why is that important to you? I know I had one guy said he's trying to put some size on. He's doing some cage fighting. He's got some stuff coming up this winter. That might be your why. It might be, you know, something to do with your job. You know I speak to probably every guy here. When you're in shape and you're fit, you feel more confident. You feel like you can kick ass in whatever you're doing, whether it be your job, whether it be doing things around the house. When you're out of shape, you know, let's just face it, it messes with your mind. You know, and so figure out why you want to do this. You know, I think even if you haven't been doing so great with your workouts or you're just getting started, starting and finishing an 8-week plan is it's a momentum setter. It's kind of like in a football game when that team comes out and scores a touchdown on the first drive and really sets up some momentum. If you go through this 8-week program and you kick some butt and get some good results, that's going to set you up for success, and that actually will carry over to other parts of your life. You know, I really feel that, you know, working out, I used to be, I'll tell you what, it used to be in my 20s, it used to be about the girls, looking good for the opposite sex. I'm married now with kids, so it's not so much about that anymore. I still like to look good. I have to for my job. I got to look the part. No one's going to buy training from a 300-pound trainer. But I'll tell you what, the mental benefits, when I have a good workout and I'm on task with my workouts, it carries over into my business, it carries over into my marriage, it carries over into my personal life. everything. It affects everything. It's like a good disease. It's a good disease that's contagious. And so you got to decide what that is and put it somewhere where you can read it. Too many people say, I want to get in shape or I want to get buff, and define what that is. You might not know what that is. If you decide you want to do this, you come in and meet with me. We can kind of hash that out, what numbers-wise that might look like together. Get focused block time. In this day and age, we have something called Google Calendar. We have all kinds of things to help us manage our time. We'll block things for clients at work. We'll block things for kids' activities. You need to block time for workouts. You need to block time. Decide when you're going to do your food prep and your shopping. If it doesn't get blocked, it won't get done. And make sure you're allocating time and not trying to just fit it in. People that just try to fit in workouts or fit in things they need to do, those things don't get done. Busy work gets in the way, and so you need to block time on your calendar for those things. iTunes mixes. This may or may not apply to all you guys, but I'll tell you what. If you got an iPod or whatever, an MP3 player, make some different mixes. Make all the difference in the world. Whatever music you like, maybe you like heavy metal and hair bands like I do from the 80s, or maybe you like Karen Carpenter from the 70s. I don't care. Whatever works for you, make it, put it together, get those mixes in place, and then get a training log in place. Now, I'll give you some spreadsheets with that how you can use. If you're like me, I like to use a notebook, like I said, but get a training log, write your goals in the training log as well, and then have a place where you can write notes in there as well. Sometimes you won't have a great workout. It could be, oh, you know what, I got 3 hours of sleep, the new baby was crying, whatever. So have a good training, get a training log, get all the pieces in place. Like I said, designate a shop and prep day for food. Make sure you have the right gym. And you know what, I'm just going to throw it under the bus right now. Planet Fitness is not the right gym. Planet Fitness does not have, the reason I don't like Planet Fitness is because, one, it doesn't have an environment for success. It encourages mediocrity, and it does not have bars, free bars. Smith machines don't count. Those are not free bars. You need a regular bar and squat rack. You might need more free weights, and you need an environment where you're not going to get kicked out for grunting or challenging yourself and having a little intensity. And I don't know what that gym is for you. If you don't have a gym, the gym I recommend if you live in the Lakeville area here, I like up at Burnsville High School, Southside Athletic. I'll tell you what, it's a great guys' gym. It's a big warehouse, turf, weights, everything. I know Joel, the member, I think they let you go there for a week and try it out. But if you're looking for a gym, it's grungy, it's dirty, but you know what? It's a good place to get it done. Maybe you already remember. Lifetimes are great setups. Snap Fitness, LA Fitness, those are all good gyms too. They all have everything you need for this program. But make sure you have the right gym that, one, is geographically desirable for where you're at, and it's got the right environment. And I'm just going to say Planet Fitness is not the right environment. If you're there, go cancel your membership, get a new place to go. Other than that, if you have a home gym, I guess it just depends on what you have. When we get together, I can tell you what's in the program, what you're going to need. There's also substitutions we can put in place. Some of you guys might just be missing a machine or two, and we can do part of this program is you might not have a certain thing at the gym or wherever you work out, and we can definitely come up with some substitutions for some of the exercises. Next one, get a coach for accountability. I tell you what, whatever you need, whatever you want to accomplish big things, get a coach. I know my last physique show I did last spring, I got a coach to help me with, getting on stage and getting my presentation down. I have a business coach. I have a guy who helps me with my spiritual side. Coaches keep you accountable and help push you forward and make you do things you don't want to do. And it's amazing when you got to check into somebody how much better you do. That's probably the number one reason people come in and they hire us for personal training here at our studio, because they've tried it on their own and it doesn't work. And so checking in with somebody is going to be a big part of this thing, having somebody check in how you did for the week and help you out too. If you're struggling with something or you need to come in and go over an exercise, we're going to make myself and my staff available to you to do that, because sometimes a video is not enough. And then follow a structured and progressive plan. I've purchased several of them from, like I said, from trainers I've known over the years that I respect. I've developed several of them, but something that has some structure to it, whether it's a split routine, a full body routine, they all work. And, like I said, you want to mix them up. We have a couple options in this program where you can do an upper and a lower body option or a total split routine, which is a 4-day split. It just kind of depends on what works better for you. They both work. It just depends on your schedule and what your time allows, and then track progress. Have a method for tracking what you want to improve. Very, very, very important. how to get it done. And game 10 and program, like I said, 2 program options. You've got the split routine. You've got the upper and lower routine. So there's 2 different program paths that you can follow. What we do in the game 10 and 8 is I build in the progressions for you, week to week. I'm going to add things every week to make sure that you're pushing yourself harder than the week before. It might mean that you're going to add some weight that week. You might add reps. It just depends. It'll be some different. We might add some finishers, like some drop sets, things like that. It's going to be different week to week. Nutrition plan and accountability. I'm going to have a webinar like this set up where you're going to come in and you're going to set up an account on MyFitnessPal. Some of you might already have that account set up, but that's a way I'm going to be able to come in and check your food journal and give you some feedback on that, and make sure that you're doing your nutrition right, and that your nutrition you're getting close to your targets. We have some orientation and check-in sessions, so you're going to get 3 of these. One at the initial, one at 4 weeks in, and one at the end, just to check progress. These are designed for me to help you with what you need help with, answer all your questions, get your measurements, go through the program with you, and then obviously get part of this is going to be, I talked about you see below, is to get your products to you, and make sure that you're getting everything you need to do, and all the information you need to move forward with this program. We're also going to set up a private Facebook page. I have found as a fitness business owner, these things are awesome. A private Facebook page allows me to really support people. People can support each other too. Kind of a good way. Yeah, did you try that workout today? Yeah, I did. That was awesome. And kind of, I know all of us trainers here at my place, we all did this. We've done a couple workouts at the same time. We didn't do them actually together, but we always start chattering about the different workouts and create community amongst whoever's doing this. And then you got email and access to me for coaching. I try to be very available to my clients. Sometimes if I'm not, it's because I'm with it's family time, or I'm in, with a client, or I'm doing something at work here. But I try to be really good about following up and answering people's questions, and giving them relevant articles, things like that. So I think that's part of it. You can go to a lot of online sites, and there's some great online sites like T Nation and some of these bodybuilding.com sites. But you're not dealing with a local guy there. You're dealing with somebody on email. So my job is to be accessible, or have my trainers be accessible, and make sure we're getting all your questions answered and helping you stay on track. All right, so Game 10 and 8 program. So let me talk a little bit. The products we use are AdvoCare. Some of you guys might be familiar with AdvoCare. AdvoCare is basically, we use that. I'm going to tell you why. If you guys watched the football games last week, and you might have saw some of the commercials, they actually hosted the Texas A&M Arizona State game and the Wisconsin-Alabama game. Those are the Texas Classic Bowl there, or Texas Classic kickoff game. So you might have seen AdvoCare around, but we picked them because they're Informed Choice certified, meaning that they've been tested for banned substances. That is because, if it has a banned substance in it, there's a reason they're banned substances. So Informed Choice is a third-party company that tests the products for banned substances. That means they're safe to take. That's why pro athletes take these products. You're going to see a lot of NFL guys taking them. You're going to see Major League Soccer, basketball, they're now taking them, even NASCAR guys. And then Rich Froning, who's the 4 or 5-time CrossFit champion, is also taking these products. He's one of our endorsers. And that's where it kind of leads me into professional endorsers. Guys like Drew Brees, Kyle Rudolph from the Vikings, these guys are our endorsers. They do not get paid monetarily to take the product. They actually take the product, and they get a product allowance. They get compensated with a product allowance, meaning they get free product basically. So why is a guy like Drew Brees going to do that? Why is a guy like Kyle Rudolph, who's got a ton of money, going to do that? They can make a lot of money off endorsements. So that says a lot to me when you got a pro athlete taking, a product without getting paid a big, multi-million-dollar salary to it. That was one of the things that first attracted me to it. You got a great scientific research team. William Kramer, who's the head of the National Strength and Conditioning Association, which is where I'm certified through. He's well known. Anybody who's had kinesiology or taken any kinesiology courses or been involved with the National Strength and Conditioning Association, which certifies a lot of the strength coaches and personal trainers around the country. He was the head of that, so he's very well respected. Stanley Dudrick, who invented intravenous feeding, which has saved millions and millions of lives, he's also on the scientific research board. And Harold Keene, who's who's at the head of the nutrition chair at the University of California, Davis, was just kind of thought of as the Harvard of nutrition. So we got some great scientists behind the development of the product. We also have a satisfaction guarantee, meaning that if you don't like a product or you don't get the results, you can send it back and you get a full refund on the product. I don't know, I can't speak for other companies, but I know that's one of the reasons I like that. I mean, just my personal experience. I'll tell you what, I use these products for my last 2 shows, and they worked awesome. And, you know, I use them with my own family. I know these products very, very well. And people always ask me, what about this protein powder? What about this supplement? I don't know other products very well. You know, it's hard to say, but I know these products, and I know they work because I've used them. I've guinea pigged myself on them for 3 years now, and so I can speak to, you know, how well they work. The supplements we're going to use, first part of this, just to give you kind of a heads up, like a lot of people want to know what we're going to use, is our Herbal Cleanse. First goal with any nutrition plan is to clean up the digestive tract. I know a lot of us, it's like if you're like me, you spent the summer, had a lot of cookouts, weekends at the cabin, maybe having a few brewskis. All that stuff kind of builds up in your digestive tract that impedes your body's ability to absorb nutrients. And we want to be absorbing protein, want to be absorbing vitamins, minerals, carbs, all that stuff. And so when our digestive tract's backed up, we're kind of bloated, we might be a little gassy, we might be a little bit having weird cravings. We want to clean that up first. And I kind of use that as a lint trap in the dryer analogy. Basically, when you clean up your dryer quits running, you got to go out and clean up the lint trap, and the dryer works better. Same thing with your digestive tract. So we do that for the first 10 days. Nothing fancy here. Fiber, probiotics, which is good bacteria your gut needs, and some herbal things to help get things through the system. This isn't one of these goofy Hollywood cleanses. It's just to help work in conjunction with the food you're eating to get things back online, so that when we put in the performance products, which I'm going to talk about, they're being absorbed at the maximum rate. This is one of my favorite products. It was actually, AdvoCare brought it in from a Russian scientist. Anybody that knows back in the day, Russia, Eastern Bloc, these guys really were a step ahead of the U.S. when it came to performance, especially in the weight room. And so they actually brought in a Russian scientist, and he gave them the formula for this product. It's a product you take within 30 minutes of working out, finishing your workout. It is formulated to begin the repair of lean tissue ASAP. It uses basically a combination of protein and carbohydrates in a specific ratio that spikes your insulin. Remember I mentioned insulin earlier? Insulin helps drive nutrients into the muscle tissue, and that really speeds up the recovery. And so we use this as a recovery product on the days that you're weight training. You don't have to use this product every day, but it's an awesome product to use to make sure you're recovering, because I think most of us sometimes we don't have a chance to eat right after we work out, and because of the formula and because it's in a liquid form, it gets into the system very, very quick. Mass Impact, this is our creatine supplement. It helps aid in recovery and repair. And if you know anything about creatine, creatine helps kind of work with the ATP system. It speeds up your body's ability to be explosive and lift and maintain intensity during a lift, so that it improves your strength. And if you're lifting more weight, you're building more muscle. And this is a good, very clean form of creatine. We use this as part of it, just to put on the muscle. We use it before and after a workout. It's just another great product that I like when it comes to muscle building. This is actually nighttime recovery. It's a ZMA supplement. If anybody knows what a ZMA supplement is, basically contains zinc and magnesium. Zinc helps with testosterone production. Magnesium helps your muscles relax and helps drop you into a deep sleep. And sleep is where your body, does a lot of its repair. And when you get into a deep sleep, your body releases human growth hormone and testosterone, and that it's important to get that deep sleep. Now, if you're like me, sometimes you get wound up at night, and it's hard to mellow out and sleep. And that's okay. This actually really will help mellow you out and help you fall asleep much, much quicker. This is, when I was down at AdvoCare Central, they actually said that this is the #1 product that all the pro athletes use. This is their favorite product because they need to recover. A lot of those guys have brutal training regimens, and so this is a great product to have. I've got a Division I hockey player that loves this stuff down in Mankato. And you talk to any athlete, this is probably the #1 thing you're going to hear them say that they notice when it comes to products. So here's what this package includes. Before I get into this, I think I got my buddy Gail on here, so I'm going to have him speak. Gail, are you on?
I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yep. So Gail and me go way back. I'm going to let him tell his story a little bit. I'm just going to tell you, I met Gail. We did a bodybuilding show years and years ago. Gail's done some pretty cool athletic things. He's actually won bodybuilding shows. He did the Lakeville 100. If anybody guys know, that's kind of the Super Bowl of mountain bike races. And we were at lunch, what was it, probably last spring, and just kind of got a motivational bug. And basically we talked, and you kind of guinea pigged on this at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've done some things in the past. For me, I've always been either, all on or all off. And seems like more often than not, I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. Things where maybe I was a little younger, I was more amped up and ready to do a lot of this stuff. But at the end of the day, like a lot of guys out there have, we have busy jobs. We've got family life. We've got commitments. My wife, she's busy as well. So at the end of the day, the schedule is the biggest challenge, and I found myself, starting these programs on my own, not really wanting to dive in too much, going outside of what I already knew. And at the end of the day, I realized that I kept, maybe I'd get into it, but then a month later, I was kind of back to square one. So I know, Eric, for many years, he's been in the fitness industry, and by far he's the most knowledgeable one that I know. So I took his advice, and I jumped on this plan, and it's really more of a roadmap, I think. I know where I want to be, and everything's just really laid out. And, we all know that diet's important, as important as the workout. I got that, but personally for me, just having an accountability partner is probably the most valuable aspect of this. So all three of those things together, Eric just gave me the roadmap, and I followed it, and I was really impressed, and he still, got me rocking and rolling, doing some stuff. So I'm pretty excited about it, and these AdvoCare products, I never really want to throw a lot of money at stuff I don't know about, but when I took, went out on a limb and started taking some of this stuff, I became a believer. So, I don't know if there's something specific.
Well, I just, kind of and here's a guy that, and you did it with, and Scott, who might be on here later. He was also a former personal trainer, and life happens, and all of it happens to all of us. And, just want to share some stats, and I think you said it pretty well, Gail, but you were at 182 at 15.6% body fat when you started out. That's 153 pounds of lean mass and 20 pounds of fat. And when we measured you out for the first big run of it, you were at 189, but you're at 12.6% body fat. And that's a lean mass gain. And calipers, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm not going to BS you. That calipers, there's going to be some margin of error, but that's roughly 165 pounds of lean mass and 23 pounds of fat. So you dropped 5 pounds of fat, and you added about 12 pounds of muscle. Now we don't know that for sure, but that's going by what our caliper measurements were. So you actually gained weight and lost body fat. So that's pretty amazing. And I'll just tell you, Gail's got some pretty good genetics, but I think it was, like you said, you nailed it. It's a roadmap for you guys. To have you guys all come and train with me is probably not feasible for you. A lot of guys, or schedule-wise, it's not feasible for me, but it's for you guys to have a roadmap to follow and have somebody there to check in on you and be a coach. So I appreciate it, Gail. Thanks for being on the call and taking some time. I know you had a busy night to jump on here. So if Scott gets on, we'll get him on. But I'm just going to go over the package here and get this thing wrapped up so you guys can get on with tonight.
Guys, this is Scott. I'm actually on the call.
Oh, you're on the call. All right. Hey, Scott.
Hey,
how you
doing?
Good.
Hey, I'll be short and sweet. I turned 40 here in 2 months, and as Eric had mentioned, I was a trainer back in the day, and fitness was number one, and got married, had kids, started working, and fitness became way down on the list, and got to know Eric through Gail, and it's been great to revamp what I've been up to. But like you said, the products and the regimen are right on, and I know you have all the stats, Eric, but it got me more focused, and just with kids and wives and jobs and everything pulling at you, it really helped me kind of put the workouts back on the priority list and get back to getting the engine running better. So I don't know, Eric, do you have some of the stats for me? I don't have all that.
Yeah, your stats, I'm looking at them right now. Your stat, when we started out in April, you were 198 at 24.1% body fat. That's about 150 pounds of lean mass and 40-some and some change in body fat. When we measured you up at the beginning of August, you were at 201, but get this, you're at 16.8% body fat. So you'd actually put on 2 pounds and drop body fat, which transfers into 167 lean mass and 33.768 to be exact body fat. So, like I said, it's not exact with the calipers, but it just shows you that you made some really good changes in a 4-month period. We've kept working together after this thing. And I know that with summer we had a few setbacks, but it just shows you over time you can make some good results. And so those are your stats on. Those are great. And I know you got a little injury you're working around now, but we got you back on the shredder. So,
Yep.
But I appreciate you for getting on the call and sharing with me. And I know you had a busy night, so thanks for getting on.
Thank you. You guys take care.
All right, guys, let's wrap this thing up. So Gain 10 and 8 package includes 3 orientation check-in sessions. For my time to do those, that's about $125 value. AdvoCare products, I'm giving you a discount on these. We're giving you about $400 of AdvoCare products. Facebook, can't really put a price on Facebook page and support and all that stuff. Nutrition, accounting, and tracking and accountability really helps me. That takes some of my time to do that and my trainer's time, so that's about a $90 value. And then programs that I just update and send to you is about a $49 value. So it's about a $665 value, really, if I was going to charge full rates for all these things. So I'm going to talk to you about this right now. General package is $334 for everything, and that's everything over 8 weeks. You can do a full payment or 2 payments of $167. And you do it the first week and week 4. There's a little bit of an investment, but I'll tell you what, personal training is a lot more expensive. You're looking at spending at least that in a month. That doesn't even include your nutritional stuff. And most guys I know are going to get something from GNC or somewhere anyway. But, I'll tell you what, is GNC going to call you up and make sure that product's working, or is that protein powder at Costco, or is anybody going to follow up with you on that? So we're going to coach you up. If you know an AdvoCare rep, I run into this now because AdvoCare has gotten really big. If you are an AdvoCare rep or you know one, you got a buddy that you already buy it from, I'll do this program at base rate. I don't want to step on any toes. $69 just if you already have something. But, for this program, you do need to use the AdvoCare products. There's a few other things you can use, but we need to use the foundation. We do have a product regimen for this, and we send that out to you and explain why we use each product and what it does and how to take it. So we're very detail-oriented. So next steps would be, hopefully this webinar gave you a little bit of a feel who I am, and you heard from a couple of my friends. Those 2 were my guinea pigs when I started this program out. So the next thing is you got to decide, is this program for you or not? Or do you have the ability to execute this thing? And really, if you got 3 days a week for about an hour, you can make this thing work. I would say 3 days, ideally 4, but if you got 3 days, it'll make it work. And especially if you're not doing anything right now, going from 0 to 3 is going to be just fine. That's why I kind of said that in the Facebook ad, was just to kind of pre-qualify people to let them know that, hey, this is what we expect. What you need to do after this call tonight is you can text me, you can call me. I'm going to be heading home to see my family after this, but you can email me, whatever method you prefer. Let me know if you're in, and what we do is we'll set up our first meeting. We'll be with me or one of my trainers, and then we'll get everything to you on that first meeting. That way you can get started ASAP. So I do have maybe some availability this week, but hopefully, if nothing else, even if you don't move forward on this program, this call helped you get some insight. Maybe it's the things that you need to work on and get better with. And I appreciate you guys all taking time out of your night and being on this webinar. Hopefully it was helpful, and I hope to work with you guys on this program and get you some great results. Fall's kind of like our second New Year's resolution, and I know a lot of us coming off summer like myself have felt maybe a little off with our workouts, and this is a great way to get some momentum back over these 8 weeks. So once again, you guys should all have my email, my phone number. Let me know if you're interested in moving forward. I'd like to get people in next week to get everything rolling, and you guys can kind of start when you want. Not everybody needs to start on a certain date, but we can get everything going to you, and whenever your ducks are in a row, you decide to start. It's your 8 weeks. It's not everybody starting on the same time, because I know we have different schedules and different challenges. So that's it, guys. Thanks for hanging with me tonight, and please let me know where you're at, and have an awesome night. And that's it. Talk to you later.